Donald Trump and his allies have been saying for some time that they hope to end the Epstein matter or release something and make it quiet down, and certainly by Labor Day. Well, it's not going according to their plan. Congress is returning to Capitol Hill. You got a bipartisan duo that wants to force a House vote requiring Trump's DOJ to release all the Epstein documents once and for all. Since for all the double talk, Trump's administration is clearly not doing that. The same duo says they will hold a press conference with Epstein survivors on the first day Congress returns from recess. Now, I can tell you here in the newsroom, we hear about a lot of press conferences, and sometimes you look and say, this is important, maybe we'll cover it. Other times you look and you say, maybe it's a political gimmick. It always depends on the news of the day. You watch the news, so you probably know that. But it would be a good bet that a lot of people online and in the news media will be wanting to cover some version of that news conference.
Donald Trump's allies have been hoping the Epstein story would fade away. But now it's exploding back into the headlines. Why? Because Congress is returning, and a bipartisan duo is demanding full transparency. They want Trump's DOJ to release every Epstein file. No more hiding, no more excuses.
Considering that Trump has open questions, he has not fulfilled his vows for transparency, and substantively, it matters when victims, some of whom have never appeared in this formulation together, speak out about what they say is the Trump administration's failures. So that is pressure. House Democrats also looked over this first batch of documents that were kind of pushed out here in the summer period from DOJ and say most of them are not new. They were basically already public.
And that's not all. Survivors of Epstein's abuse are preparing to speak out publicly, putting direct pressure on Trump's administration. This isn't just politics. It's about real people demanding justice.
The DOJ did release something new, its unusual interview with the Epstein co-conspirator Maxwell, but that's raised a lot of questions amidst these blanket denials.
I never, ever saw any man doing something inappropriate with a woman of any age. And I did introduce him to women. I did, but not underage women. So I never saw an aggressive move. I never saw anything that was
non-consensual.
Well, thank you. Okay. I never saw anything that was non-consensual.
That's the voice of a sex trafficking convict disclaiming things she was already convicted of. It undercuts her credibility and speaks to the farce of that interview, according to many legal experts.
But what is Trump's DOJ actually doing? Instead of transparency, they dropped recycled documents and even tried to use Ghislaine Maxwell as a character witness. Yes, you heard that right. A convicted sex trafficker defending Trump.
Donald Trump, the president, the head of the executive branch, their boss, said that there would be transparency. And so the fact that they've backtracked, I think, raises a lot of legitimate suspicions and concerns about what might be in that evidentiary file if it were released. So far, we've seen two dodges. We've seen this ridiculous end run, this attempt to get the courts to release grand jury material, which failed. And in the process of that, we learned that the only thing that was involved there was two summary witnesses testifying. So nothing new there. And then we have this release, this dump of information vouched for by Representative Comer, which turns out to be nothing new. And so at some point, you know, you don't have to be a former federal prosecutor to have your little ears pick up and wonder what it is that they're trying to keep from the American people.
Think about that. A convicted criminal already found guilty by a jury is now being used to protect Trump. Legal experts say this raises major red flags about what DOJ is really hiding.
It's really hard to imagine a less credible witness. The only thing that matters here isn't my assessment of Maxwell or your assessment. It's the jury's assessment. They heard all of the evidence. They heard her defense. They found her guilty. A unanimous jury of her peers convicted her. Look, she's sitting in federal prison. We all understand the game. Her case is still on appeal. She has hope, perhaps, that her conviction will be turned and she might be able to get her life back. It seems very unlikely to me, having studied the briefs, that she has anything there. But we understand what the game is. And I think your point here is so important these victims who are willing to come forward, it's not easy. And it's especially difficult in the current context where someone like Donald Trump sits in the White House. And we now live in a world that treats women very differently than the world treated women even several years ago. So these victims are engaging in an act of bravery, trying to make sure that the truth is what shines through all of this. The fact that the Justice Department released this tape is really, as you say, just a ludicrous exercise. You hear Todd Blanche literally putting words in the witness's mouth. You hear him offering her up as a credible source. We all know that she isn't.
And here's the key point. Victims are ready to speak up, despite the intimidation, despite the politics. Their bravery could finally bring the truth into the open. And that's something Trump and his allies clearly fear.